Welcome to another episode of 90 Years Strong, the Monroe College Story. My name is Ann Marie Ferguson, and I'm the proud host of this podcast series. And today's topic is Broadening Horizons, Transformation-Proof Program Expansion, how our students broaden their horizons through the transformations of our programs and expansions over the years. And to talk about this, I am joined by Dr. Karenann Carty, Senior Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs, and Dr. Ephrem, Senior Vice President of King Graduate School. I have a 2-for-1 in this session today. And I'm going to have them just talk us a little bit about some of the history of Monroe and their experience of Monroe over the last few years. So I'm going to start with, either one of you could jump in at any time, but just think about it. Can you take us back to 1996 when Monroe College received authorization from the New York State Board of Regents to start a bachelor's program? What were the driving factors behind this significant expansion?
I will start with in 1990, we got the Middle State accreditation for Monroe College. That was a big milestone for Monroe College. We are the first for-profit institution to get such an accreditation at that time. So we were offering only 2-year degree, and it was our staff, faculty, students who came to us and say, we don't want to go anywhere. We want to continue our education here. So the students were claiming for, because of the experience they have with the faculty, with the staff, with the administration, they want to continue their education here. So that's when we went to state and they asked for the approval for offering the bachelor's degree. First, we got the bachelor's degree in business, accounting, and computer science. So those are the 3 degrees that we offered. And the students were extremely happy to have that. And everybody wanted to get a bachelor's degree at that point. So it was a big accomplishment for Monroe College to get the Middle State accreditation and then come up with a 4-year degree.
I remembered actually that I came from another college before I went to Monroe. I tried 2 other colleges, but Monroe always felt so different when I came here because as a student, one thing I can say is that the professors really did care about the students. The professors cared, the administration really cared about the students. I actually came in 98. I went for 1 year, 98 to 99. So I was part of that first bachelor degree program when I was able to obtain my degree back in 1999 and I walked in 2000. Thank you for that. So the next question I have is, the founding of the School of Allied Health Professions was in 2000, and it marked a notable milestone for Monroe College. How did this expansion impact the college's offerings and cater to the evolving demands of the healthcare industry?
Thank you again, Ann Marie. I was reflecting on when I got my start at Monroe, and with your previous question in 1996, I was a New Rochelle resident living in New Rochelle and working at a neighboring college in New Rochelle. And I often would pass by Monroe College on Main Street wondering what was really happening in there. And then fast forward to 2001, I applied to Monroe because I was ready to spread my wings and do something new and different. And I was fortunate in that the New Rochelle campus was really about to evolve into a full residential campus. But to your question, in 2001, bringing allied health into the portfolio of programs that Monroe had was very significant. One reason is that the healthcare industry has a wide range of options for students and graduates, and students can do very well whether they have a certificate, an associate degree, a baccalaureate degree, or a master's degree. And so the college was able to evolve with the School of Allied Health in such a way that students could start their education, work, continue their education, work, and come back and continue even more. And I think that was a significant evolution for the college. In addition, as we know, the Bronx is a borough that has tremendous healthcare opportunities. And in fact, New Rochelle and Westchester County also has evolved with an explosion of healthcare opportunities and needs. So I think Monroe was right where it needed to be at the time in 2000. And allied health has grown into one of the largest. There's always a little neck and neck between business and allied health and maybe criminal justice as well. But allied health has been a steady climb, and the wide range of offerings that we have now have been so important to our communities and to the college.
And I have to say, I'm a little biased because my background is healthcare for a long time before I came over. So the fact that you even said that it's so important, because I know what the impact of being in a healthcare industry, the effect that it has, having not only a medical background degree or even in business, you can still get jobs in accounting. You can get jobs. There's so many different aspects of the healthcare industry of where if you have a bachelor's degree, you're able to get a job in the healthcare industry.
And I think about it, Ann Marie, as well, that everybody has an experience with healthcare. So it's accessible to students, and you don't have to have family members who have been nurses or doctors to have experienced healthcare. And so everyone from traditional age high school students who are graduating all the way up through adulthood, we all have some kind of connection to the healthcare industry.
That's correct. Yeah, I like that, Dr. Carty. Now we're moving from 2000. We're still in the early 2000s. So in 2004, Monroe College introduced the online business management and administration courses options. How did this move into the digital realm, right, affect the accessibility of education for students? What challenges and opportunities did this expansion present? And I'm actually going to, after this question is answered, I'm actually going to pivot to what happened in 2020 with the pandemic and how the college was actually prepared. But if either one of you, Dr. E or Dr. Carty, if you can answer that, how was the college able to handle this new wave of online courses?
The job market was good at that time. And there were people who wanted to get education, but they were not able to spend the time in classrooms. So the trend was no more, come to us, we'll teach you. The education is going to people. So that really created a trend for an online education that people want to learn, but they don't have the time to sit in the classroom. So when we realized at that time that we don't want to fall behind, so we wanted to meet the needs of the industry. So we came with the online program to serve the needs of the people, especially business people who really want to advance their careers by getting an advanced degree. Monroe, we placed ourselves in a better position to meet the needs of the people by offering online programs.
Okay, so we talked about 2004 and the implementation of online courses. So I wanted to talk about 2020 and how Monroe College was so prepared when we were in the height of the pandemic to offer online courses because of the fact that back then, 16 years prior, you had already basically set yourself up for this. Thank you.
Sure, I can take that, Ann Marie. So first of all, as you noted, we began our online course offerings back in 2004. But by the time you get to 2020, we had 16 years of evolution in online learning, improving every step of the way our fully online offerings and offering the flexibility that Dr. Ephrem mentioned before, that adults could do the work for their classes, engage with their classmates at times that were convenient for them through fully online. But in addition to that, the work that we did in the fully online environment also helped us to do another type of online learning, which was the virtual classroom. And in fact, Dr. Ephrem was a pioneer with the virtual classroom as well, because some adults wanted the experience of being in the classroom, if you will, and with the professor in a synchronous manner. And we were able to add to what we were already doing in fully online. We added virtual and hybrid offerings. And the hybrid and virtual offerings provide a little bit more of a classroom engagement, but in a digital environment. Having done that is what prepared us to pivot. And it really was a literal pivot because in the course of one weekend in March, when the pandemic happened and the shutdown was imminent, we were able to expand our training in the virtual classroom to all of our faculty and prepare all of our students. And we were ready that Monday morning for 100% of our classes that were on site to be offered in the virtual environment. And that was because of the work that we had done for all of that time, because Monroe was very smart. When we first implemented fully online, we did it incrementally. We expanded little by little every year. We got better and better. And that's what allowed us to do such a great job during the pandemic. And I think Monroe took also, our hallmark is the supportive environment. So we supported our faculty through it. Our faculty supported our students through it. And we all came together to make sure that we could all hold on together, stay together during the pandemic, and help our students to learn in the most effective way possible during very difficult circumstances.
Just to add to that, by that time, the technology was in place, the platform was ready, and Dr. Courtman had trained all the faculty. So we did not miss a beat.
And thank you both for that, because that's the reason actually why I brought that up, because I have to say kudos to Monroe for that. I applaud Monroe College for basically being ahead of the times. We didn't know what was going to happen in 2020, right? Back in 2004. But the foundation, the importance of it is that the foundation was set. So when it came time to be able to flip that switch, Monroe was prepared. So I applaud you, the administration, for that. And thank you for that synopsis, Dr. Carty. So the addition of the MBA program in 2005 represented a strategic decision for Monroe College. Could you elaborate on the reasons behind introducing this program and how it contributed to the college's growth and reputation?
We had a focus group, all the students who completed our bachelor's program and who went on to pursue their masters in other institutions. And they came and said Monroe should consider giving the master's program, because there's one student stood up and said, I am standing shoulder to shoulder people who graduated from NYU, Pace, Columbia, and I can say I am equal to them or better than them. So that gave us an indication that our foundation is strong, because to build the house, the foundation has to be strong. So our bachelor's degree was very strong, because people who went on came and said, we are ready for the next move. And then students wanted to pursue their masters with us. So the first thing to us at that time, MBA was very popular. So we started with the one program, MBA program at that time. And we started with the 60 students, and the graduate program, we have over 1,600 students now.
Yeah, I remember too, just to your point, Dr. E, when I graduated with my bachelor's from Monroe, and I would say to Chairman Jerome, who was the president at the time, when are you going to get a master's degree program? When are you going to get a master's degree program? And I remember him saying, Ann Marie, we're working on it. We're working on it. Hence, I went to get my master's somewhere else. But to see that that was fulfilled, that goal was fulfilled, and to see that we're now at the 1,600 mark with graduate students, again, is a great feat. And hopefully we're working on the PhD program soon. That's going to be the next goal for Monroe. So,
Ann Marie, we're working on it.
Yes, thank you. That's right. That may be my next degree. So what were the driving forces and vision behind the college's overall expansion over the years? How did these expansions align with Monroe College's mission and the commitment to the students' success?
So one of the things I mentioned before is that Monroe very often will have a strategic vision, and we progress toward that vision in incremental ways so that it's not disruptive, it occurs naturally, and we bring our whole community along with us. And as you look back on each strategic move that the college made, it seems like pretty impressive and forward thinking. And it is, but it begins with a step-by-step approach. And I think that has served the college really well. And what that does is, again, it helps us to bring the whole community along, but it also helps us to perfect what we're doing, whether it's a new program, a new degree level, a different location, a move to online. We want to make sure that we do it well. And so when you take the resources and you focus them and you try things out and you know that you have a good, strong foundation, as Dr. Ephrem mentioned before, you can build on it. And so almost everything that was done strategically, you can look back to what the first step was. And I go back to residence life. The origin of residence life was because we had a baccalaureate degree program. We wanted to attract a new population. We had a visionary group of people who saw that in Jamaica in particular, students were looking for baccalaureate degree opportunities. When they came, which they were happy to do, we had to make sure they had housing and services and all of that. When we did the housing for those students and we realized we could do it well, then incrementally we began to move in the direction of a full residence life program. And what did residence life do for us? It helped us to attract young graduates right from high school looking to go away, but not too far away from home and pursue their degree. And what did that do? When we did well with that, then there were student athletes who wanted to come and they wanted to have competitive athletics. And when we did that, one thing followed another with a strategic vision, not that it was fully formed, but there was the thought that we were going in a direction and then putting all the pieces in place and realizing, wow, that helps us to serve another need. That helps us to serve another need. And so we now have a wonderful, we are an anchor, let me say it this way. We are an anchor in New Rochelle with students from all over the world and students from our local high schools and regional high schools. And we have a full set of programs and services and activities. And then in the Bronx, we were always an anchor for adults. But the fact that we began to add more degree programs and a wider range of offerings, we were able to attract now different populations to the Bronx. So I think it's strategic vision with incremental implementation and always evaluating and always figuring out how to do it better.
Dr. Ephrem, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think we are always very careful and very methodical in the way we do things. We don't jump on things because something looks better on the other side. That has always served well for Monroe College. 2006, we offered the graduate program for the first time. The women's basketball won the championship. The LPN classes were offered for the first time. The culinary arts started in 2006. So everything starts step by step. So the growth, if you look at the history of the college, the growth is always in a methodical way.
Dr. Carty talked about strategic planning. So one of the questions I do have is that, has there ever been a time when, may have had the 5-year plan? I know sometimes, Dr. Carty, it's like that 5-year plan, then maybe the 10-year plan, but has there ever been a time where something had to change before here's this 5-year plan? And when you think about strategic planning, my background is process improvement too. So you think you have this perfect plan and then maybe 2 years in, it's like, oh, time out. Looked at that, it may not work. And then what I call that, right, from those experiences, lessons learned. What did we learn from it? What can we tweak? What can we do better? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So the strategic plan definitely gives us a framework and guardrails, a blueprint of where we want to go. And we like to evaluate opportunities against the plan and make sure that there's an alignment there. But sometimes a window of opportunity opens up that you don't necessarily expect. And I think a great example of that, and Dr. Ephrem can speak to it further, is the way that we entered into building a campus in St. Lucia. So we had a wonderful program in the School of Criminal Justice, which is now Criminal and Social Justice. We were serving an international population in some cases. We had an adult student who was with us from St. Lucia. He was a member of the Royal St. Lucia Police, Dr.
Yeah,
E. I'm not sure if
right.
I said that correctly. And he was getting his baccalaureate degree with us. When he completed it and went back home, and Dr. E will fact check me, St. Lucia was about to host the World Cricket Cup. And when he went back, he had all this knowledge and experience that he had gained from his degree with us. And he said, I think that I can bring a team to help train the police officers so that we can help manage the World Cricket Cup and all that goes along with that. And our team went down and they did the training. And while they were there, St. Lucia, the government, identified a real need for a baccalaureate option and asked us if we would consider it. And again, very incrementally, step by step, small steps at first, we ended up building a campus that has been sustaining St. Lucia and has provided great continuity in St. Lucia and great opportunities for the citizens of St. Lucia. And that began by taking an opportunity that presented itself. And then we saw how it was aligned with our strategic direction. It might have taken us in a slightly different direction, but it was aligned in that we are about being in a community, helping the community to educate its citizens and being an impactful neighbor and participant. So I think St. Lucia was the great embodiment of something that presented itself. It was evaluated. We decided it was right. And lo and behold, we have what Dr. Ephrem has truly built, which is a wonderful community in St. Lucia.
And in fact, you just summed up what I would have talked about with expansion, because that's one of the successes of the college, that expansion into St. Lucia, and now having that full campus in St. Lucia. Dr. E, do you want to talk a little bit more about what the expansions have been at the college, what they look like, and how they've had like a positive impact on the program and the college as a whole?
One thing I want to say first is none of the institutions from United States that went to St. Lucia survived, and only Monroe College survived. It wasn't easy. We went through some tough time, but we never gave up. The government supported us. We wanted to be there to give the quality education for the children of St. Lucia. And the people there appreciated it. And even during pandemic time, it was tough. People from the other island who used to come to St. Lucia, they were not able to travel. But we did not get away from the mission, like Dr. Carty explained. We did not deviate from what we wanted to do there. We stayed on, we did what we have to do, and then the expansion slowly started. The government came back to us, asking us to give a special training, the Hospitality Institute we started. The government supported that. They paid for the education for the children. And these people graduated from there. They got jobs in hotels, cruise ships, and so on. Then slowly other islands, students wanted to take classes. That's why we talked about online. Now the transportation is really bad between the islands. So many students are taking online classes from St. Vincent and so on. Then now recently the government came back to us and say their goal is to put a graduate in every family. This is called the first generation program. They wanted to start with 50 students. We started that. We collaborated with them. Government paid 50%, Monroe paid 50%. Students were going free. We went to St. Vincent, and they wanted to do something like that. So the expansion is starting like that. Now we are going to go to other islands to see. So St. Lucia, we were struggling with 200 students a few years ago. And today we have over 500 students at that campus. And that is remarkable.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So I want to ask you a question, and I want both of you to give your response, but it's a simple question, right? What is the special source of Monroe? What is it that you think that sets Monroe apart from every other college?
I will start. I always go and say there are, whenever I go for recruitment, there are fine institutions in the United States, but there are two things that make Monroe College different. We are not a research institution. Our programs are very carefully crafted that students get the knowledge, skills, so they can get jobs and they can achieve their dream. And it is taught by credentialed practitioners from the field. So students are getting practical education. The second most important thing I tell them, it's the support. The support service that we provide, I will say it's second to none. Today I told the students, I'm here 42 years. I know how it is done. We know what it is for people from other countries to leave their father, mother, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, and come here. We become their family. We are there every step of the way to guide them, to assist them, to help them so that they succeed there because they need their support. They have the intelligence, but in some cases, they don't have the outside support. But Monroe gives that support. So with their intelligence, with our support, these people are becoming successful.
I love that, Dr. E. That's so strong. Dr. Carty?
Sure. I agree with what Dr. Ephrem said. I believe that those are the elements of the secret sauce. But I would add one other thing, and that is that our faculty reflect the student body. They come from all walks of life. They just in the totality of the faculty that we have, they have been in industries where our students want to go. And when they look in the front of the classroom and they see someone who was just like them, sitting in the same seat practically, that the students see the possibility in front of them, that someone like me went in that direction and achieved that and ended up here in front of me to share that. It's so powerful. And our students, without prompting, in almost any kind of engagement that we have with our students, they will express how grateful they are that they have faculty who understand them, who care about them, who look like them, and who are there, again, every step of the way, Dr. Ephrem said. But that representation in the faculty is rare, and it is absolutely appreciated by the students. And if you ever went to one of our opening breakfasts, when we start our semester and we're all getting geared up and we're all excited, we share these comments that our students make about the champions that they have among the faculty. And because I do the onboarding for all of our adjuncts, we go around the room with our new groups of adjuncts, and invariably about a third of them will say, I went to Monroe, and then I went and I pursued this career, and I always had in the back of my head that I wanted to come back and teach, and I'm so happy to be back here. And that's a wonderful cycle of life, and it's not lost on our students. It's very impactful.
Kudos to Dr. Carty to get this faculty together.
Yeah. Kudos to Dr. Carty. I like what both of you said. The takeaways for me on those statements was, I love the fact that Dr. said, we become their family, the support system of the Monroe faculty and also staff becomes the family of the students. And I can attest to that when I was a student. And then Dr. Carty, I love what you said. The faculty reflects the student body. So people are seeing the possibilities when they graduate of they can become just like their professor or just like somebody within the admissions of, because it starts from admissions and, the finance, they can become whoever they're speaking to within the college. So I love that. So what I'm going to do right now is ask each one of you to just share maybe a personal note or something, a memory of something that happened while you were at Monroe College that was just as being a staff of Monroe, but just share something that is just that you remember that just stood out to you with your experience in Monroe. It could be something funny. I see Dr. E thinking, could be something light, could be something funny, could be interaction with a student, a coworker, but just share something that stands out to you, just one thing at your time here at Monroe.
I would say one thing. There are some friends who ask me, how did you stay this long at Monroe College? Okay, because I worked in the industry as a programmer. So my answer was, as a programmer, you write the programs and somebody sells it and makes money. You don't know what is happening for your work. But I said the reason I am staying here, I see the value of my work. When I see those kids march on the stage, I can tell God I did something to change that person's life. That satisfaction you will never get no matter where you go. So I think that's the thing that always impressed me of working at the institution like Monroe College. There are funny things which I don't want to say.
No, I thought you were actually going to say one of the funny things, but that's okay. No, but I thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Carty.
Yes, Dr. Ephrem's been here twice as long as I have. So he has a lot more history. But I reflect on my time at Monroe. I often think back to my own childhood, my own education, and neither of my parents finished high school. My mother eventually went on and got her GED. My dad never did. He always worked, always had a job, and always took care of the family, but neither of them finished high school. And it didn't really sink in to me that I was a first-generation college-going student. And so I had two older brothers, and I went to college before they did, and I was the baby. But it never really occurred to me until I was in the Monroe community and attended my first graduation, got involved with students, and in res life, you really get to know students very well because they're with you 24/7. And that's when it occurred to me that I was the first one in my family to go to college. And I thought further that I was also the first girl in my neighborhood who went to college. And so,
Cardi, you should get St. Lucia scholarship, first generation scholarship.
oh yes, I should. Thank you for reminding me. But so having that realization was very important to me because I began to, one, connect with the students and understand how meaningful it was for them. And then to think that Monroe has also been responsible for my professional development and the advancement of my own education to the doctoral level. It's powerful. I feel like Monroe has shaped me as well and has valued me as a first-generation student and a woman in higher education. So it becomes very personal. The experience is very personal. And that's why when you go to commencement, you stand on the stage at Radio City. It's true, the Rockettes have been there, and that's awesome. But like we're there, and we're watching the students at one of the most sacred and joyful moments of their lives and their families. It never gets old, and it always touches me. And it reminds me of how fortunate and blessed I've been to be a part of the Monroe community.
Oh my God. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Carty. And I don't think there's ever a time when I can watch the videos from commencement and not get a little emotional. The videos from that day are just so profound, beautiful when you see the families, when you see people who now they've graduated and they bring their little ones and their husbands and the mothers. And then you've seen some that it's their children or their grandchildren graduated and they graduated from Monroe. It's just something that I'm telling you, there's just something special about Monroe. And I always say, as a graduate of Monroe, I always say Monroe proud, Monroe strong. I'm so proud to be an alum of Monroe, and my life has come around full circle as Dr. Carty, because you've been for my journey over the last couple of years and everything I've always rooted for me. And now to see the role that I'm playing and I'm able to give back to the students of Monroe. So we're about to wrap up, but I just do have one kind of last question because as we were talking about expansion, I just wanted to share a little bit about who the two of you are, and you did that. But can you share some success stories of examples of students who have benefited greatly from the expanded programs of the college? How has this broadened the horizons through the program expansions and transformed lives and careers of some of these individuals?
It's hard to mention names now, but there are people. I will start with the St. Lucia. There are people in the ministry. There are people in the police force as a commissioner. It's a manager of a MNC company. They all would not have got this opportunity if Monroe did not open the campus there. Because they did not have the means to go out of St. Lucia to spend all the money to get that education. So Monroe really stood behind people for doing well. And here, if you come here, there are people who are in the hospital administrators, who are in technology specialists, and in the physical therapy area, business people who have started business. And it really makes you feel, because we always tell people, when you are successful, we are happy. The whole thing is we provide the tools, but we want you to use the tools to be successful. That's when we will be happy. I say, if when you are not successful, we sit and cry. So I think a lot of people are making us
Yes,
really happy for what they have accomplished. And
yeah, yes, I like
it's very satisfying.
yes, yeah, very rewarding. Yes, Dr. Carty.
Sure. So I'm going to bring you back to 2004. And there were two expansions that were initiated in 2004 that I think have made a tremendous impact on the college. The first was the inception of the honors program. We had observed that we had, in addition to the students coming to us who needed remediation and needed a lot of nurturing and a lot of support services, we also had many high performing students coming looking for a challenge and enrichment. And that's why we founded the honors program. We started with our first 42 students with one course. And we just dedicated our library here in the Bronx to Dr. Simon. He developed and taught the first interdisciplinary honors course to those 40 students. And those 40 students were absolutely amazing, but they were the foundation for the growth of the program. We have an award-winning honors program. We are active in honors research. Our students travel and present their research and serve on committees for the National Collegiate Honors Council. So the honors program brought another whole element of enrichment and preparing students for graduate programs. And we've had honor students go on and get their doctoral degrees, and it's been very rewarding. And it is a very robust program. The second initiative that occurred in 2004 was what we call our EASE program. And the EASE program was for students who are still developing their English language skills, but who are bright and motivated and want to matriculate at the college. They're not just ESL ready to acquire the foundational tools of the language. They're at a point where they want to really develop their academic English skills, and they want to do it in a collegiate environment. And we provide an opportunity for students to do that. And that helped us meet the need of international students coming from non-English speaking countries. And it also helped us and is helping us to meet the needs of newly arriving immigrants in the Bronx and in Westchester who are in traditional high schools and maybe in ESL programs in high schools. And they want to matriculate just as their classmates are doing, right? And they have the ability, but they need the wraparound services and the English acquisition. And we built a program for them. So those two programs are about to hit their 20th anniversary in 2024. And again, a small incremental step that was sustained over time that made a big difference, expanded our possibilities for students to come to us, but also the preparation for those students going beyond any expectation that they may have had. And if you wanted individual stories about that, I could sit with you all day, but we'll do that over coffee some other time.
Yeah, we will. I just want to say thank you both. I learned a lot today. I'm sure our audience learns a lot also. Like I said, both of you, we know you're both like stalwarts of the college. We can learn so much from both of you. I thank you, Dr. Alex Ephrem. I thank you, Dr. Carty, for taking the time out today to just share more history of Monroe College as we're celebrating our 90 years. Please continue to listen to our podcast. We have some more interesting stories coming up for you. Just want to thank you again. Again, my name is Ann Marie Ferguson, proud alum of Monroe College. Monroe strong, Monroe proud. Thank you so much, Dr. Carty and Dr. Ephrem.
Thank you.